You guessed it. I am sitting in my car. I promise you, I don't live in my car, but my car is a quiet place of refuge for me. And so I thought it might be kind of neat to record a video in my car today. So, for those of you that are looking for the podcast video from Audacity Presents, you will have to jump over to Spotify and Apple or Google and listen to this week's episode called The Audacity to Dwell. But for the YouTube channel, I wanted to do something different. The first one being sitting in my car recording. But actually, this week, some of you may know that Dr. Charles Stanley passed away, and I listen to Dr. Stanley every morning as I'm taking the grandkids to school. And so my heart was saddened when I heard of his passing this week. But I heard a message from his son that was played on the radio where he talked about the four principles that Dr. Stanley lived by. And it made me think, what are my principles that I live by? When I am dead and gone, and even while I live, can people tell you, oh, that's Mary Tave, and these are the principles that she lives by? And so all last week, I was putting together my four principles that I live by. And I would suggest that you do the same. Spend some time thinking about what you want to be remembered once you are long gone, or even just in passing of people speaking of you. How do you want people to speak of you? And so these are my four principles. My first one is to love God, family, and the uniqueness of myself. When you put God first in all that you do, He will lead and guide. And I try to do that. I was thinking the other day, what happened to the what would Jesus do? I mean, there was a big movement of that a while back, but it seems like it died down. Are people just secretly saying, what would Jesus do? This is my phone that I have. But put God first, love God, be obedient to his word. Let that be a principle. And then love your family. So your family can be biological, or it could be a group of people that you have met along the way that have become your family. Love your family, whether biological or not. And then love the uniqueness of yourself. I have learned that once I accept myself and who I am with all my silliness, my craziness, my need to strive for perfection, once I am able to accept that, that is a principle that I live by, to always love the person that God created. So that's one principle right there. My second principle that I have tried to live by is knowing that money isn't everything. I know y'all are shaking your head like, really, Mary? I mean, listen, y'all know I love a good shoe, right? And it takes money to buy shoes. But at the end of the day, some of my most memorable moments have cost me nothing. And I think of my 7-year-old granddaughter when she was younger, and she would come visit, and we would just walk in the neighborhood and we would talk about nature. We would talk about God's creation, and she would be the one doing the talking. She would say, Mimi, look up in the sky at the sun. Look up in the sky at the moon. Mimi, isn't this flower beautiful? Mimi, didn't this tree grow really tall? That costs nothing. Money isn't everything. Yes, we do need money to do certain things, but some of the most memorable moments cost nothing. My third one, it's okay to be uncomfortable. Actually, we should be uncomfortable, right? I had a mentor that told me when I was working in the corporate world that if I am in a position and it is comfortable, it's time for me to move on. That's when you know it's time to either find another job, move to another position, is when you have gotten comfortable. So in life, don't ever say, I'm comfortable, I'm good. You always want a little bit of uneasiness. Sometimes we don't like it, but a principle to live by is to never get comfortable. And then lastly, my fourth principle is to be open. sometimes we get set in our ways and it's like it's either this way or no way. But when we are open, we can have some great experiences in life. When we are open, we can let people in that we probably never would have thought of being friends with that person, but we have to be open to let them in. And then we have to be open so that we can go and experience maybe places we've never gone. I never saw myself as a person that travels to other countries. And oh my gosh, once I opened my mind up to that, that I'm not afraid to travel to other countries, you cannot beat me getting on a plane to go to another country and have another experience. I am like wide open for that, right? And so that is a principle that I live by. So these are my four principles: to love God, family, and the uniqueness of myself, to live by knowing money isn't everything, to know that it's okay to be uncomfortable, and to live by being open, to accept new things, new people, new places. So when people speak of me, these are four things I want you to look and say, is she living by those four things? When I am dead and gone to heaven to be with the Lord, you can talk about these are the four principles Mary lived by. And if you catch me out in the street and I'm not living by one of these principles, I need you to call me out because I want to be remembered for these four principles. Y'all have a good week. Don't forget to jump over to the podcast and listen to The Audacity to Dwell. You want to know what it means to dwell with the Lord? Check out this week's episode.